What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a new episode of No Huddle Necessary. As always, I'm the host now, Dominic Choroski. Super happy to be here, and I have another great panel of guests with me. Week 1 of the NFL season is in the books. We are fully in the thick of it now. We're not waiting. We're not, talking about projections. We can finally start reacting to games that matter. And so let's go ahead, bring everything on, bring everybody in here. First up, we actually might call this the Game Changers edition because we have both of the hosts of the show Game Changers here. Let's go ahead and bring in one of them. Eddie, you've been on the show before. How you doing today?
Pretty good. I like that. Introduction. It's really nice.
Game Changers, Game Changers edition. I like it. Game Changers edition of No Huddle Necessary this time around. Let's bring in your co-host, Will.
What's going on, bro?
Yes, How you doing? With
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm good. With the Majin Buu background, I love it. Majin Buu and Vegeta are two of my favorite characters in Dragon Ball Z, so I appreciate the representation.
See, Dom, I knew that you was a smart man. I already know.
Absolutely. And then, of course, we have the big boss himself, Mr. Joe Cardoso, in the building. How you feeling today, Joe?
I'm doing pretty good, man. What's going on, fellas?
Feeling great.
Yes, sir.
And we have special guest, Mr. Eric Scharf here, Dallas Cowboy fan. And of course, writer extraordinaire. Thank you for joining the show. Super excited and happy. Try to mix those words together. Thank you so much for joining the show today. Cannot wait to talk some football with you guys. How you doing today, Mr. Eric?
Excellent. Very much looking forward to this.
Very good. All righty. So a lot happened this week. There's a lot of things that we got to talk about. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. It's time for the first quarter, ladies and gentlemen. Alrighty, so I don't want to toot my own horn, but I gave a bold prediction on, I believe it was No Huddle Necessary not too long ago, where I said that every team in the NFC West was going to win 10 games at least and make the playoffs. Yeah. Every team in the NFC won pretty convincingly in week 1. I'm here to ask you all, granted, it's week 1. There's plenty of time for this to change. However, after week 1, who looks the best in the NFC West? Eddie, we'll start with you.
Gotta go with my Rams. Los Angeles Rams, they did a phenomenal job. And yes, there are other performances throughout that division where we thought that they had convincing wins. But, the Rams beat up on the Bears. Nothing to brag about, yes. But still, the main factor to me was how would Matthew Stafford fit in that offense. He looked phenomenal. I mean, first quarter just blazing out. The touchdown pass to Van Jefferson was just superb. Wasn't touched, just walked in for the score. And I really want to see how would Darrell Henderson look in that rushing game. 90 yards, not that bad. It's actually an efficient game for him too. The whole offense was just everywhere for me. Also got Robert Woods involved too late in the game. And the biggest thing for me, the biggest takeaway, the defense. Jalen Ramsey was just flying throughout the whole entire field. And he pretty much showed why he's the best cornerback in the league right now. Because the way this guy was physical throughout the whole entire game, his coverage was superb. And you have the likes of Aaron Donald on that defensive pressure. It was immaculate. It was immaculate. The whole defensive line actually played well for me. So I'm liking the Rams right now. They, to me, are the best team in the division as it stands right now because they are the most compact and the most well-balanced team. Do like the Cardinals. I do like the Seahawks. Not really too much of a fan of the 49ers. But for me, Los Angeles Rams, they played phenomenal. So I'm going to give it to them.
Interesting. Not a fan of the 49ers. I think we'll talk about that a little bit later, see how you feel. Next up, Will. Let's keep up the game changers going. You guys can start it off. How you feel about the NFC West?
Well, I think that we all know that the NFC West is a pretty competitive division, but I'm really big on the Arizona Cardinals. And I said this, I was on the show last week and even on our Game Breakers podcast, I said, watch out for the Arizona Cardinals. I'm all in on this team. And week one, they absolutely proved me right. Now, the Tennessee Titans are a team that a lot of people are bigging up, with the addition of Julio Jones. They have A.J. Brown, Ryan Tannehill, who I don't really believe in. And they also have one of the best running backs in Derrick Henry. And they were still outmatched. The Cardinals played fantastic on defense. Chandler Jones was terrorizing that line. You have J.J. Watt on the other side. Budda Baker looked pretty good. And I think not only do the Cardinals are they explosive on offense, I think that their defense is pretty underrated as well. And to me, the NFC West, I think that was a statement game because of the opponent that they played. And when you look at the other teams that the NFC West played, I mean, the Rams, they beat the Bears. They're kind of expected to do that. If you look at the 49ers, they were blowing out the Lions, and then the Lions started to make a comeback. So I think that they're not even in the conversation based off of that week one performance. And then you have the Seahawks who beat the Colts. The Colts, nobody's really too high on them. Carson Wentz didn't really get to play preseason, so they're still trying to gel together. So for me, the Cardinals, you have to say that they are the most impressive-looking team. I know that it's week one, and I'm not usually a reactionary person, so I don't really want to go too crazy, but I was very happy, and I think that a lot of people are going to have to start respecting the Cardinals because for me, they are the best team in the NFC West right now.
I agree. I'm a big fan of the Cardinals this year. I was on the hype train last year. Maybe I was a year early, but I do like this Cardinals team a lot. As far as the 49ers, a Kyle Shanahan team blew another fourth quarter lead. What else is new? Joe, how you feel about the teams in the NFC West? Who you think's the best?
Well, I definitely want to say first and foremost, I agree with you. I think the NFC West is the most competitive division in football. I want to go with Arizona, but I'm going to go with Seattle. And the reason why is because everybody was saying that the Colts are a quarterback away. They could have done their young defense, stars all over the place, a great running back tandem, young up-and-coming wide receivers. And yes, I understand that Carson Wentz didn't play it in the preseason, but he was supposed to be the missing piece, the missing link. He had enough practice to get out in the field and play on Sunday. And I was just impressed with Seattle. I mean, we talk about all the time how Russell Wilson's running for his life every game. The O-line's horrible. Well, that Colts up-and-coming defense didn't really do a really good job of keeping Russell Wilson in check. I mean, he was throwing bombs to Tyler Lockett left and right. I think the Seahawks defense, I thought, was going to be their weak link. And I understand it's week one, so we don't want to go too far and jump out the window all the way. But their defense had a pretty good performance and shut down a pretty potent Colts offense. So I'd have to go with Seattle with Arizona right behind them because I did not see the Cardinals beating Tennessee the way they did. They beat them physically from first quarter to the last. But I still stick with Seattle.
All righty. And our special guest, Mr. Eric, it's your turn. How we feel about the NFC West?
Yeah, I'm going to have to duplicate what everyone else has said to a degree. The Cardinals, you didn't expect the Titans to show up perhaps as flat as they did, and that's taken away from the Cardinals. They certainly beat them from end to end, but there were portions of the game where the Titans were able to drive, but they looked like a 20-20 team rather than being able to drive into the end zone. And Julio Jones, he basically was made to evaporate. He had no impact. And Chandler Jones, he's had his injury troubles over the past couple of years, but he shows up, gets 5 sacks. The way in which he gets them, you would think that they would offer help to that side of the line, right? They wouldn't turn that side of the line to a Chaz Green, right? But it didn't happen. And the Titans never sped up. They did what they do, but they just did not catch up to what the energy the Cardinals were bringing. 49ers, everyone could talk about Jimmy G's injury availability or lack thereof, but they played the Lions, as we've all agreed. And then they watched the Lions come back. They were a scrappy team, the Lions, this year under I forget the new coach's name. Played for the Cowboys, played for the Giants. Campbell, yeah, I really like that guy. He's a Parcells guy, and he had them ready to try. Maybe not to win, but to try. And against a team like that, it's 1 week, but the 49ers have to go another week and a week after that to show they can be consistent and that they can shore up their defensive issues, which were clear toward the end of the game. Seahawks. I'm always impressed with Russell Wilson, even when he has a lousy offensive line. And it didn't show on Sunday. He was barely touched, and you just watch him strafe side to side as if there's no one near him. And he just throws the prettiest deep ball. Carson Wentz was able to drive the Colts in spots, 20-20 again, then did those Carson things that got him out with the Eagles. Okay. Rams, beautiful offense, Cooper Kupp. If that guy never gets injured again, watch out. Just with him, they're fantastic. You need to be able to tackle, because whether he's in space or beating you down the lane, you're in trouble. I'm wondering about the interior of the defense on the Rams, because was it Montgomery really gashed him pretty good, and he's not a fast guy either. So, and it took what? 99. Why is my brain going off?
Aaron Donald.
Toward the end of the game to finally get that sack of the redheaded stepchild, Andy Dalton. Poor guy. He does what he's told, but only what he's told, which is what everyone can't stand about it. Same with the Cowboys last year. He does what he's told, but he won't stretch the offense even where he knows he can in spots. So there's nothing the Bears can do about that other than put Fields in and expose him to what they don't want to. I could see the Seahawks fighting tooth and nail to be at the top at the end of the year in that division. I can see the Cardinals. I think Joe mentioned earlier, and I'm not trying to go too long here. I'm doing it again. Their quarterback reminds me of Lamar Jackson. The difference is Lamar Jackson seems to be better able to look out of his ear hole than Kyler Murray. And I know it's just one game, and I saw all his last year in his games at OU. But at some point, my concern is that someone's going to catch up with him as he's swirling around, trying to buy time, and Lamar just takes it right up the gut as soon as he gets a chance and has everyone chasing. So that could be a problem. Nonetheless, not to waffle anymore, I think it's either going to be the Seahawks or the Cardinals. I think if the Rams can fix what might be a temporary problem with the middle of their defense, then yeah, they can do it too.
Yeah, like I said, I'm high on the Cardinals as well. To me, they're the team that I think looked the best in week one. Me personally, I still believe that this is the Rams division to lose. I believe they have the future MVP of the league in Matthew Stafford this year, now that he finally has a good supporting cast around him. But all in all, like I said, I think all four of these teams make it into the playoffs. I think all four of these 10 teams win at least 10 games this year. The NFC West is going to be an absolute dogfight. They're going to beat up on each other. It's going to be very fun to watch all four of these teams play for the rest of the season.
Don, can I ask you a question?
Go ahead. What's up?
So Matt Stafford, a future MVP, when you have Kyler Murray there, I don't know. Yes. I think that with Kyler Murray, I think with him adding like the running game, I think that that'll separate him, I think, from, so let's per se, a Matthew Stafford, like more total yards, touchdowns, etc. So,
go ahead, Eric.
Stafford also frees up Sean McKay from the ball and chain that he created for himself with Jared Goff. The polar, not night and day, even with lesser weapons, and that's really what we're all going to be looking at progressively. Does Sean McVay, only due to injury, have to make any adjustments with Stafford that would tamp down their offensive ability?
And also, my main point, storyline. We all know how much these associations, we know how much the league loves a good storyline. Aaron Rodgers was incredible last year. One of the big things that played into Aaron Rodgers getting the MVP last year was because it was presumed this might be his last year in Green Bay, and he's on his scorched earth tour. This is kind of the redemption tour. This is we all finally get to see Matthew Stafford, and now he spent all this time in Detroit, and he was with a terrible team, and now he's on a good team, and now he can finally lead them to heights. I think he has a better story than Kyler Murray does this year, and I think that plays a big part into it, and I think that will edge it out if those two are close. But let's go ahead and get into the second quarter. Alrighty, so I think we can all agree that the biggest surprise from this weekend was how the Green Bay Packers just got absolutely stomped by the New Orleans Saints.
Annihilated.
I mean, blew the doors off of them.
Slapped out.
I didn't see that coming. I don't think many people saw that coming.
Nah.
I want to ask you all, is this more so about bad Packers? Was this more so good Saints? And do we need to be worried about the Packers moving forward? I guess we'll go ahead and Eric, we can start with you.
I think it's a little of both. There's something about Winston. If I had to read his mind, he is so desperately happy and desperate to please Sean Payton, who has continued from last year to give him a chance to win this job and show that regardless of whether he needs help in the form of a brilliant offensive coordinator who doesn't, to control himself. And you watched as what did he do? He threw for not much, maybe was it 138 yards? Yeah, okay. 5 touchdowns, not a single mistake. There was one time when he was trying to escape the pocket and kind of threw it up on the right side of the end zone, which could have been a typical Winston special, but his guy came down with it, and he went out of his way to not look like he was back in Tampa Bay. I'm not trying to rhyme. And there was a time during the game, even though the Packers were made to look like, again, a 20-20 team that struggled in the end zone. And when you watched Aaron Rodgers, who never hides his feelings, right? There was a time where it almost looked like he was saying, like Kobe Bryant once did to his teammates, okay, you guys do it. You guys, I've had it. I've done this. You guys do it. See how well you do without me. Of course, he was at the center of this problem. And he even threw up he basically threw up a punt, an interception that looked like Brett Favre was back in Green Bay on that one cold night against the Giants in the playoffs. When he could have gone to the Super Bowl, let's throw a punt. Interception, game practically over. I think the Packers are going to make improvements, but not the kind that the cheeseheads want to see. They're going to be as big and impactful as they hope. The Saints, their whole story, just like last year, the year before, they've got to avoid injuries to their defense. And Winston he simply has to prove every week that he's willing to follow instructions. And Sean Payton will never ask you to throw an interception. He'll never ask you to fumble. He'll never ask you to take off out of the pocket and get yourself earhole.
All right. Let's see who we got up next. Joe, is this bad Packers? Is this good Saints? Should we be worried about the Packers moving forward? Let me know.
Well, I think for week 1, I'll say good Saints. For the Packers, I'm not too concerned unless they have the same kind of performance on week 2. If you take a look at the history of the Green Bay Packers, they're known for letting a dud go every once in a while. There's been plenty of games, whether prime time or games that aren't on national television, where the Green Bay Packers just don't show up. With Aaron Rodgers, even back in the Brett Favre days, it happens. But I think the New Orleans Saints had a great game plan. I think that Jameis Winston, you can see the improvement and the work he put in the offseason to be improved as a quarterback. I think this is the beginning. You talked about redemption with Matt Stafford. I think this is a guy that's going to be on a really, really, really good redemption tour. So I think it was really good Saints for this game. For me personally, if Green Bay has the same performance on week 2, then I'll become worried about Green Bay. But watching football as long as I have and watching the Green Bay Packers, they always are known for just not showing up for a couple of games. No explanation, completely healthy. It's a week 1 of the season. Aaron Rodgers hadn't played all preseason, but he never does anyway. You'd expect a better performance. They just didn't show up at all and got blown out.
And I do want to point out that I don't think the final score of this game is indicative of how close this game was for most of it. Like, this was a game that halfway through the third quarter, the Saints were only up like 17-3, right?
Yeah.
Like, the Packers were still in this game well into it, like very late into it. It wasn't until really the fourth quarter when they kind of had things kind of fall apart. Let's go ahead and get Eddie in here.
So it was a really good performance by the Saints. I'll say that first off, because I'm going to go ahead and say that the Packers, it was much more of a bad performance by them. But give credit to the Saints. As Eric mentioned before, they asked James Winston to do what he did, and he delivered 5 touchdown passes. You can't go wrong with that. The defense was just flying all over the field. And I want to give credit to Marshall Lattimore, because this guy, the way he was able to hold arguably the best receiver last year, Davante Adams, to only 56 yards was phenomenal. Despite him having a thumb injury to end the game. But, a guy paid like that deserves to get paid, because he just had a phenomenal game. But I want to go to the Packers really quickly. The Packers, for me, it was just a terrible output, right? I think it was more so them laying an egg, on the neutral site, as opposed to how great the Saints actually were playing. Because I just look at the body language of Aaron Rodgers, was not great at all. I mean, you only throw for 133 yards, couldn't get the running game going. And obviously having David Bakhtiari out did not help the cause at all. But overall, it was just a bad performance by him. And even the second interception by Aaron Rodgers it told me the whole entire outlook of how the game went, and how it wasn't the Packers' day in the office, because the deep throwing ball that was intercepted by Marcus Williams, there was like no receiver in sight, probably like 3 or 4 yards off, which is very uncharacteristic of Aaron Rodgers to do so, to throw a ball that far and to have no receiver really in the vicinity, was just terrible for me. So it was a bad performance by the Packers. I do expect them to have a bounce back game against the Lions, because it's the Lions. Once again, they'll be home, but if they have, like Joe said, if they actually do have a terrible performance next week or this week coming up against the Lions, or they at least struggle to beat this team, then you should be worried. But it's week 1. They got beat pretty bad. It's a worrying result for sure, but it's week 1, so it really shouldn't be that worried at all. It shouldn't push the panic button just yet for the Packers fans.
Yeah, I agree. I think this was more so bad Packers. I think the Saints probably played the best game that we're going to see them play all year. Mm-hmm. I'm not high on the Saints this year. I think especially just they're very thin. I think they have good starters, especially on the defense side of the ball, but they're just so devoid of talent on the offensive side until Michael Thomas comes back, which probably won't be for another 7 weeks. I don't think the Saints are going to play much better than we saw. I don't think we're going to get a recreation of that game for the rest of the season. And I also don't think that we're going to get the Packers playing this poorly. I don't think Davante Adams is going to get strapped down like that again. I just don't. He's too good of a receiver. Aaron Jones will get it going. The offensive line was a little concerning, but when they get David Bakhtiari back, I think that fixes a lot of the woes there. And Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, right? Like, moving forward, I don't think Packers fans, I'm going to take a page out of Aaron Rodgers' book and tell everyone, hey, RELAX. Relax. It's a terrible first game. And granted, like Joe pointed out,
it's going to be his worst game of the year, guaranteed.
Yes. Definitely. And like, Joe, you pointed out, the Packers kind of do this every once in a while. Like, the Packers are known to lay a dud. They did this last year against Tampa Bay, where they got blown out like 38-10, right? Mm-hmm. So I think this was more so about bad Packers. I think they will fix it. I don't think the last dance is over for the Packers. But we'll see. Like I said, it's week 1. Don't want to overreact too much. But right now, we're going to call it a quick break here, pay some bills, get some commercials, give the guys a chance to go to the bathroom, maybe get a water break in or something like that. So we'll see you all after these messages.
The Team Nuts and Bolts Sports Store is officially open. Log on to www.teamnbsmerch.com and get your t-shirts, hoodies, polos, all sizes available. Once again, log on to teamnbsmerch.com. Get yours today.
Want you to see everything, want you to see all of the lights. I tried to tell you, but all I could say.
Alrighty, and we are back. Gave the guys a chance to get a sip of water. Gave you all a chance to get a sip of water as well. We're going to bring the guys back in here. Glad to see everyone is enjoying the show so far. Christy, great point there. Can't overreact to week 1 unless you're a Bears fan. Yeah, you guys, listen, while I am a Steeler fan, I have love for the Bears. You all know this. It just seems like that team's going to be stuck in a rut until Matt Nagy decides that he wants to do what's best for the team instead of what's best for him. But we'll see what's going on there. Thomas, really great point. Lions sure did almost make a comeback and beat the 49ers. They did. I guess to Dan Campbell's, we'll give him some credit. They were biting off kneecaps. We're a pretty scrappy team, but still the Lions. And I guess we can go ahead and bring the guys back in here. Guys, nice, refreshed, rehydrated. We feeling good?
I want to know what's up with the both hosts of Game Breakers on the show, and then a Game Breaker commercial plays at commercial break. Are Will and Ed paying you money? What's going on here, man? That's crazy, bro.
We might have some under the table, shifting going on.
I'm like, for real right now? I didn't approve. That was not approved by me. That was not approved by me. There's some Cash App stuff going on behind the scenes. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. Believe that.
Just don't call the IRS on us. I think I'll be all right. Will, I'm letting you all know right now, Will is getting bonus points for his backgrounds because he's just feeding into me right now.
Seriously, man.
Dragon Ball Z. We've got Naruto. Naruto's one of my favorite animes. The backgrounds are incredible. So, Will, you get bonus points.
Thank you. Thank you.
You see what we're up against, Eric? We got to bring it, man.
Yes.
That being said, let's go ahead and get into the third quarter now that we're back. Alrighty, so the Washington football team made it to the playoffs last year. They won the NFC East. Let me be correct. And they brought in Ryan Fitzpatrick, and a lot of people, myself included, thought, okay, Ryan Fitzpatrick, granted, we know what he is, but they may not ask him to do too much. I think he can lead this team to the playoffs. I think they'll be pretty decent. They have a great defense. The Fitzmagic show did not last long in Washington, however. Week 1, he gets knocked out of the game. Then it comes out that he gets put on IR. He probably will miss about 6 to 8 weeks. Mm-hmm. That being said, they do have Taylor Heineke, who I think, listen, I'm a fan of Air Heineken. I think he played very well against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the playoffs last year. I think he even played well when he came in against the Chargers this week or last Sunday. But there is a young man who was released not too long ago who was set to be a starter by the name of Cam Newton. Should the Washington football team, should they stay pat with Taylor Heineke, or do they need to bring in Cam Newton? We'll go ahead and we'll start with Will.
All right, so hold on. I got to put my glasses on for this because we're talking about the team with no name here. Hold on. Okay, now. Where do I start? Because you guys already know I'm a Giants fan. So already I'm coming into this with bad intentions for the football team. Now, look, I think right away to answer your question, the football team should be bringing in Cam Newton because Tyler Heineke, I don't even know the guy's name. He's a scrub. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Look, I don't want to say the Redskins. I don't know why it keeps coming up in my head, but the football team, they've needed a quarterback for a while now. They drafted Dwayne Haskins. That experiment did not work. Now, they go this offseason. They get Ryan Fitzpatrick. Now, knowing that you need a quarterback, and you would say that you'd rather go with the younger quarterback because he can give you more years than what Fitzpatrick would do. Now, considering that they signed Ryan Fitzpatrick and then Taylor Heineke, he lost the starting job to Ryan Fitzpatrick, and knowing that how they need a quarterback, I think you have to bring in Cam Newton. I do not believe in Heineke at all. I'm actually very happy that he is going to be their starting quarterback because he does play my Giants tomorrow, and I think that will show the football team why exactly they need to go bring in Cam Newton, because Cam Newton is by no stretch what he used to be, but he's better than Heineke. And I think that this guy is just not it. And again, I don't really think that the football team had any high expectations anyways, because they never do as a franchise. But I will say that with him there, it's definitely lowered. I think that if everybody is predicting them to win the NFC East, I can't see them winning if he's going to be their starting quarterback. That's all I'm going to say about that, because, yeah, it's just too much, and I don't really want to take up too much time. So I just have to keep it real short just now.
All right, Will, no faith in the football team at all, the team with no name. Eric, you are a Cowboys fan as well, so I'm sure you've got some hate for them. But how do we feel? Should they bring in Heineke, or should they stay with Heineke, or do they need to bring in Cam Newton?
Sure, I got to admit, yes. Anytime that the former Redskins team is suffering, I'm okay with that. Having said that, it strikes me that if Ron Rivera was still all in or somewhat in on Cam Newton, perhaps he would have done more in his last year or two with the Panthers to kind of tamp down on all the rumors or suggestion, not from him, but all around, that Cam was on his last legs, too many injuries, can't come back, can't become more than a shell of his former self. And so with that in mind, I don't know that even if he has the chance, and he has the chance, that he's going to pull that trigger. I almost expect them to stick with Heineke, and if they have to, due to injury or performance or COVID protocol, lean on Kyle Allen, who was less of a scrub, in my opinion, than Heineke. I think he started 13 games for the Panthers. And the year he started 12 when Cam was out with injury. He went like 5-7, had 17 touchdowns, 16 horrifying, mind-numbing interceptions. But there was something they, given more time, more opportunity, could have molded up a little bit, coached up a little bit, something serviceable. My feeling is that if they've got to grab somebody, they're probably going to have to offer perhaps some conditional draft picks for someone like Chicago's Mick Foles or Miami's Jacoby Brissett. They've got something over $14 million of playable cap space, but Cam should be calling them. They should want to bring him in, but right now, even when he was with New England, he just has got the slow drop back. He scans the field slowly. You got to worry about accuracy, not all the time, but I'm not even concerned about him asking for too much money. It's what can he do to elevate over that much over what they've got, and that's still a question.
All right. Eddie, let's go ahead and get you in here.
Yeah, I'm not too keen on this whole idea of trying to bring Cam in. I'm really not, to be honest, because I'm not for the idea of getting a guy because he is a former MVP. Yes, we get that. He did great things in this league. He's very athletic. He could get you a lot of points in the red zone. But, I feel like the best option is to go with a guy who knows the system as opposed to a guy who doesn't. And we got to stop the disrespect about Taylor Heineke. Like, I know this guy, he 2 starts or 2 performances, 2 good performances, right? 26 of 44 for 306 yards in his first game against the Buccaneers after teaching math the day before. Like, stop this nonsense, please. A touchdown and interception that same game, and then he comes in against the Chargers, 11 for 15, 122 yards in a TD. Listen, my guy Taylor Heineke, I know he drinks a couple of Heineken beers before the game starts. That's fine by me, but he shows out, and he hasn't done wrong to me. Like, you can understand that they might not be sure of him starting week in and week out if he were to have average performances or bad performances at that point. But he's had 2 solid performances. He's young. He knows the system. He's really familiar with the team, and he's done good. So why not see what you have in him? Why not see, because he's young, see what he has for the rest of the season, as opposed to getting a guy in Cam Newton who can maybe win you a couple games. I think they have a high ceiling with Taylor Heineke, in my opinion. And it's going to show when they face the Giants at home, because I'm predicting that he's going to shred them boys up this coming Thursday. So we'll see how that goes.
All right. Joe, the football team.
As a diehard football team fan since birth, man, I don't even know. I'm cool with it. I think that, like, to Edwin's point, you figure that Taylor Heineke was thrown into the Wolves in the playoffs to go up against Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the eventual Super Bowl champions. Did they win the game? No, but his performance was more than respectable. Then you come off the bench to face the Chargers with a really good defense. Think about DeBosa, James on that defense. No slouch at all. Decent performance, and they were in that game. They had a chance to win that game until about the end of the third, early fourth quarter. Now, finally, you think about it, the first time is that opportunity to have first-team reps for the whole week of practice. The bread and butter of this team is the defense. They went up against Justin Herbert, one of the best up-and-coming young quarterbacks in the league, and heard about it. I live in the D.C. area. Everybody locally is already talking about, is this defense overrated? Are they as good as everybody saying? Do not think they're going to love the opportunity to go up against Danny Dimes, a.k.a. throw the ball to the wrong team. I fumble the ball every time I run it. They're going to show the nation what their defense is all about. We're going to bust the Giants so bad on Thursday. I cannot wait. And I think for a guy that's been thrown to the Wolves without getting first-team reps, without knowing that, hey, I'm the guy this week, and he still performs good, what's he going to do with a full week of practice, knowing that it's all on me? I think Washington's going to be just fine. Kid's athletic. He'll get better with time. The people I feel bad for are the receivers who never get any continuity. I think we've gone through like 55 quarterbacks since we drafted RG3 back in the day.
Yeah.
Giants. Come on, man. Get out of here, bro.
Wait,
Get out of here with that Giants.
Hold on, wait.
Dog. Come on, man.
Wait, Joe. If I can say respectfully, right? Your team, mind you, right? Like, let's not get too carried away, right? So the team with no name is the only reason why Daniel Jones is still a starting quarterback. The guy looks like Tom Brady every time we suit up against you guys. Yeah, I can't even tell you like the last time that you guys have beat us. So, I think with Heineke starting, it's not like you guys really had any offensive weapons to begin with, but now I feel more confident.
Wow.
Outside of Terry McLaurin, that's it. Like
Antonio Gibson's a bum. Antonio Gibson's a bum. Logan Thomas is not one of the best young up-and-coming tight ends in the league. He's not. Logan Thomas is just a bum. He's average. He's not better than y'all's tight end whole room you guys have in New York.
Evan Ingram walked into the football team starting lineup. So does Saquon Barkley. So you're two,
still working his way back from injury.
Okay,
and I don't think he's going to have his come-out game against us. I don't.
Yeah, that is true too.
He always does. He always does, Joe.
All right, bro.
His money against you guys. Don't worry. Look, last week was just him shaking off the rust. But trust me, there's one game that Daniel Jones shows up for, and that's for your team. So don't worry about him throwing no interceptions.
Our entire defense shook off the rust last week, so we'll see tomorrow, man.
Hey, look,
there's a lot of chirping in DC. There's a lot of chirping in DC. These guys are ready to hit the field, man. It's a lot of chirping.
I can't wait.
Let's go, Taylor. Heineke. Yes, sir.
Oh my gosh, man.
Air Heineken.
But I just don't understand, like where football team fans get such confidence from. I mean, the last time that they were good and won a Super Bowl, I wasn't even thought of. I wasn't alive. So, I'm not used to seeing them be successful. They're usually about a 500 team every year. And, they're just, I don't want to say too much, but.
Hey, Will. Let me ask you this before we go to the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. Would you rather have Taylor Heineke be your quarterback right now?
Over Daniel Jones?
Yes.
Absolutely not. No, they're both scrubs. I don't want either. But the thing is, I think that Daniel Jones has a bigger upside than Taylor Heineke. And I think that's kind of not fair to say, though, because, unbiasedness, we've seen more of Daniel Jones versus what we've seen of Heineke. So I think that given from what you've seen, I think I'd have to go with Daniel Jones just because I've seen more. But
I can respect that. Finally, a take of his I can respect.
But as of right now, though, yeah, I'll go Daniel Jones, but I'm not big on him either. I mean, I prefer neither.
I'd take Taylor, but that's just me. All righty, let's go ahead, get into the fourth quarter. Throw your fours up, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for the fourth quarter. Alrighty, so I'm actually pretty happy that we have a good amount of time left in the show to talk about this topic, because I think it's one that we will have a little bit of a discussion with afterwards. So this is the second straight game where the Cleveland Browns played the Kansas City Chiefs. The second straight game that they have lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. And the second straight game where the Browns probably felt like they let this one slip away. Granted, both teams were missing key players.
Yep.
Browns, no Odell Beckham Jr., who he has already been ruled out for week 2 as well. The Kansas City Chiefs played without Tyrann Mathieu.
Right.
And it feels like, obviously, this is the Chiefs conference. The Chiefs are the cream of the crop. They're the team that you have to get over. Are the Browns ready? We look at their roster, and I think a lot of people would say if you look top to bottom, the Browns probably have an overall better roster than the Chiefs do. Are the Browns ready to get over the hump that is this pending Kansas City Chiefs dynasty? Joe, let's start with you.
Man, I'm not sure. I mean, I saw a lot of good from the Browns last week. I think that obviously to the end when Baker Mayfield gets tripped, makes a really, really bad decision to throw the ball still, ended up being picked off. And I still got to give Edwin some trash for his comments he was making on Sunday about how that's the coach's fault somehow, that Baker Mayfield decided to throw the ball after being tripped. I don't really understand how that works. But I think that Cleveland, like Odell Beckham Jr., is not going to put them over the hump. If you put Odell on that lineup, I don't see him being the factor that makes them be able to beat Kansas City. It's on that defense. Their defense just has to make big plays when needed. I mean, Chubb was running the ball. Hunt was running the ball being untouched. Baker was throwing darts left and right. In key moments when the defense needed to step up and make a play and slow down because you don't really stop them, Patrick Mahomes, they couldn't do it. That Hail Mary, throw it up to Tyreek Hill and hope for the best play, you can't have that. That's got to get picked off, batted down, something. Their defense is going to have to make a play or two in order for them to be able to beat Kansas City. The offense showed me enough that they can get it done. And then Baker's got to make smart decisions. You can't get tripped and still throw the ball and hope for the best. You know it's going to get picked off or be incomplete. Something bad is going to happen. He's got to make some better decisions, but really I think it's on Cleveland's defense to use the next 16 games to improve and get better because they went toe-to-toe with the defending dynasty, ex-Super Bowl champs, and they were right there with them until the end.
Mm-hmm.
I never said that. I just never said that. Oh, my
Eddie, listen, Edwin, Eric, you're not in our group chat.
Oh.
Eddie,
I will find.
Everyone else on this panel knows what you said in that group chat.
I will find.
That was in relation to Jameis Winston, not Baker Mayfield.
Edwin is never trying to take accountability, guys. So don't even worry about that. Don't stress it out. He'll deny all his wrong takes.
But listen, Eddie, this isn't the time to defend your ludicrous statements in the group chat. Let's talk about the Kansas City Chiefs and the Cleveland Browns. Are the Browns ready to get over the hump?
They definitely are. They are, to me, the best team in the division as it stands right now. I don't really care about what people say about the Ravens and the Steelers. They're not the best team right now. They really aren't. The Browns, for me, showed me enough of what I need to see for me to believe in them to give the Kansas City Chiefs a run for their money this year. And listen, I'm not going to doubt them after the first game of the season because, one, it's week 1. 2, Patrick Mahomes, he's a different beast. In September, it's just different. He doesn't lose. So why would I didn't expect them to come and win this game anyway, despite of them being a good team and despite of what I already think about them contending for the AFC this year. But listen, I like the offense. The rushing game was ecstatic, right? The Kansas City Chiefs had no answer for Nick Chubb, no answer for Kareem Hunt. That's one thing. Baker, to me, made all the right throws, 21 and 28. He played really well, over 200 yards passing. That to me is efficient. It really is efficient. He gave the team enough chances to win the game. And the defense, now I know what Joe just said about the defense and giving up these big plays. You really can't have that. He's right about that. The 75-yard touchdown play was just, you can't have that happen. You just can't. After you just score 2, it just takes the whole momentum out of your offense and as a team. But the defense did make a nice play to give them the offense, the ball back to score in the later stages of the game. I mean, the sack by Davion Clowney and Myles Garrett was much needed. And that gave the ball back to Baker. And yes, he threw the pick, but he was making the decision to throw the ball away, and he just got tripped up on the way of throwing the ball away. So that's why the pick happened. It's not like he threw the ball and he got, I don't know what Joe was saying before, but it was, listen, man, I believe in Baker this year because I just see something different in him that I haven't seen in past seasons. He looks more poised. He looks like he's gonna win this year, and I believe in what he's capable of doing. He will get that contract because the Browns will pay him because of how great he's gonna play this year. And make no mistake about it, the only team that I see competing against the Kansas City Chiefs as it stands right now are the Cleveland Browns.
All right. Faith in the Cleveland Browns from Edwin. Mr. Eric, how do you feel about the Browns?
I'm going to piggyback on what Edwin said about Mayfield. He displayed during this game that he knows he's got all the parts in front of him. He's got everything he could possibly need, except for the occasional ability to stop from making a mental mistake, which he made half of one in this game. Until however, Kansas City, until their offense, until Patrick Mahomes is forced to feel like he has got the entire team on his back, including the defense, Matthew or not, the Browns will be 1B. If this is a picture of how the rest of the season will go, they'll be right up there with them. But the Chiefs will still be a step ahead because until we see it, until a team like Tampa Bay comes in, and until the Chiefs lose some pieces on offense, particularly that line again, God forbid, it's going to be more of the same. They'll be able to outscore you. They'll be able to outluck you. Patrick Mahomes will continue to extend plays like a wild man. And no matter how good the Browns do, and I believe they've got the best physically, raw skill. They've got the best offense end to end in the whole league. But you have to, while you're on the field, be able to get in his grill enough to stop that. And if it's even slightly like what game one was like for the rest of the season, and no one is able to put that kind of stress on Mahomes and the rest of the offense, and they can't take away any pieces, and they stay off of the COVID protocol, right? Then they may very well make it all the way back to the Super Bowl.
All right, Will, you're up.
All right, so I'm a big believer in the Cleveland Browns. I'm not a big believer in Baker Mayfield. I'll start by just saying that. I think that the Browns are ready to get over that hump because, in my opinion, the Browns, as on paper, are the best team, arguably, in the NFL on paper. They have all the big names. I think that they have the best 1-2 punch combination in the backfield with Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. You need Odell to come back and be healthy. But when Odell's healthy, then you also have Jarvis Landry. Then on the defensive side, you signed Jadeveon Clowney. You have Myles Garrett. They have those pieces. And I think that on paper, they are one of the best teams. But I just think that what lost them that game is quarterback play. Now, the Browns were up, I believe, at the most 12. And I think that was after halftime, if I'm not mistaken. But I feel like with better quarterback play, the Browns would have blown out the Kansas City Chiefs that day. Or let me not say blow them out, but I think that it would have been a very high-scoring affair because with the Chiefs, you're never really going to shut down the Chiefs. The Chiefs are going to always get their points, but you have to try to outscore them, and that's what the Browns were doing. The Browns had everything going for them, and then they just let the Chiefs get back in the game. So I feel like that's what's going to happen with such a high-powered offense that the Chiefs have, and I think that Patrick Mahomes was the deciding factor in them winning that game. But again, I really do believe in the Browns, but I'm just not really a big believer of Baker Mayfield. I think that he's an above-average quarterback to me. I just can't really see him being that guy that leads Cleveland to a championship. And I think, after all these years of Cleveland being, a garbage franchise in terms of with the quarterbacks, with their results on the field and all that stuff, I just think that they got good, but they got good at a time where other teams got better. So, yes, even though I said that, I think that they do have one of the best teams on paper. I just see other teams that's more of a threat for the Super Bowl in the AFC, such as the Chiefs. Still, I still think that the Bills would probably get it done over them in the playoffs, and even maybe the Steelers. So I'm just not a big believer in Baker Mayfield. That's the only reason that I don't think that the Browns will, make it to the promised land. I say that.
Okay, so have a little bit of a bone to pick with you, Will.
Oh, okay.
Like it. You too, huh?
Baker Mayfield in this game was phenomenal. Baker Mayfield had 2 bad passes this entire game.
Okay.
And this team had a big lead. To put this all on Baker, to say that they lost this because of Baker, who, again, Only had 2 bad throws. Only had 2. Oh, we lost Joe. He'll be back. Only had 2 bad throws. And when there were plays, again, where Patrick Mahomes is running sideways, we got him back. All righty. When there are plays where the defense is giving up plays where Patrick Mahomes is running sideways and chucks the ball across his body 75 yards down the field and Tyreek Hill is able to catch it and walk into the end zone untouched, no one mentioned the punter just completely screwing the Browns by dropping the punt and then trying to run off, and then that gave the Chiefs great position to score again. Why are we putting this on Baker when he probably looked like, in my opinion, the best player for the Browns on Sunday?
No, and I think that's a fair point that you just made, saying that Baker was, again, I'm not entirely putting the loss on Baker Mayfield, but I think once you're up by 12, I feel like you have to keep scoring, and I think that's what. So like that's kind of like where my fault is that the Browns offense, they just weren't able to get it going, and to me that has to do with the quarterback play. Now, I think again, as I said, I think that Baker Mayfield is a very average quarterback, well above average, I'll say. And I think, look, even a broken clock is right twice a day. So to me, I think that with the weapons that Baker Mayfield has, he has no excuse but to put in those kind of performances. You have Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt to take a lot of pressure off of you. So teams can't load the box. They also can't worry about just the pass game because then you have those running backs. So to me, there's no real excuses for Baker Mayfield. So what I saw him do on Sunday, that's what he's supposed to be doing with the team that they gave him. I mean, they made Austin Hooper one of the highest paid tight ends. They gave him weapons. There's no more excuses for Baker Mayfield. He has to do better. I'm not going to give him credit for looking pretty good against the Chiefs because you still lost the game. So you can say, well, Baker played good, but you still lost. And that
right.
to me is the big thing. So
can I ask you this, though? Like you said, they had a 12-point lead. At what point does it become the defense's responsibility to protect that lead?
But that also goes back to the point that I made where you're never going to really shut down the Kansas City Chiefs. So when you get lucky and when the Chiefs have, like when they're not playing up to their regular standard, you can say that first half that they weren't anywhere near what you'd expect. You have to keep your foot on their necks because eventually you're not going to keep Patrick Mahomes down for too long. So it's kind of like even if you want to use like a basketball like reference just really quickly, that's like if you have, let's say, a player like Kevin Durant, right? And if he's playing bad in the first half, he's a player that's still going to get his points. So while he's playing bad, you have to capitalize on that because that's just how the Chiefs are. They're a team that you're not going to keep them down for the whole game. It's not going to happen. So again, to me, I'm still putting that loss on Baker Mayfield. You're the quarterback. You're up by 12. You already know you have to keep scoring points, and they just couldn't do that. So,
and it's also in part an issue of don't let your role player lose the game for you. You've got to make the most of your opportunities. I know, being a Cowboys fan and having Dak Prescott and having that defense, which is still trying to find its way as it loses players to injury and COVID-19, as has been advertised in the past 24 hours. And you're like, people are like, well, don't throw it all on Dak. Dak doesn't have a choice. Dak must make the most of his stuff. Baker Mayfield could not afford to do a 4-and-out, could not afford to let the punter get his hands on the damn punt, even though you didn't expect it. You didn't expect him to fumble it out, but you cannot afford to let your role player be in the position to have to win the game for you. It's not fair, but it is what it is. And if you're facing a different team, different than the Kansas City Chiefs, and you can afford those breaks, those mental breaks, those physical breaks, great. But until you get away from that Chiefs game and play those lesser teams, you have to play as if your life depends on it, and the fans can't go, but he was so great, not great enough, just simply not great enough.
Well, you didn't think you'd have a Dallas Cowboy fan coming to your defense today, did you?
I like Eric. I like Eric. Eric's a smart guy. He said what I wanted to say in a much better way because fantastic, Eric. Thank you very much for backing me up there.
All
righty. Well, it is that time, ladies and gentlemen. The best part of my job, I get to send people to the back and announce a winner and distribute who gets the FaceTime. So let's go ahead and announce who the winner is. Alrighty.
Dancing.
The words of the great Ricky Bobby, if you ain't first, you're last. So just because you got sent to the back first doesn't mean that you were last. It just means that you weren't first. And today we are going to send the big boss to the back first. Joe Cardoso, thank you so much.
This is a game change. Oh man, New Jersey conspiracy, bro. It's all good. It's all good.
The Montreal. Joe is saying it's the Montreal screw job.
I'll be back. It's all good.
Absolutely.
Y'all
Joe,
won
we will
today,
have you
Jersey.
back.
Enjoy your day. Enjoy your day.
Alrighty, and then there were 3. All of you were really great today. Really enjoyed you all. Eric, you were phenomenal on the show. Will, this is your first time being on the show. Super excited to have you on. Eddie, you're making your second appearance. You were great today. We're actually, however, going to send Will. You had some of the best backgrounds, but they weren't enough to get you the dub today.
Man.
Maybe next time we'll get you in here. Maybe you can get the W next time. Keep bringing up the great backgrounds, though. I appreciate the effort. And then there were 2. Yeah, peace out to the boss. We love you, Joe. We love you. All righty. So you both were phenomenal today. And actually, the winner edged him out by 1 point. So it was very close. Very close. But Mr. Eric, it was your first time on the show. We absolutely adored having you on here, but the win is going to go to Edwin today. We are going to give Eddie his first win. Yes. Eddie, congrats. Congrats. Get FaceTime. By all means, my brother, you have the stage.
Just want to say thank you all to who voted for me. I did my best and I tried my best, and you guys saw that. You saw the potential in me. You saw the energy that I brought and the good analysis that I gave to the game. And I want to continue to do that. So to all my fans out there, thank you. To all my haters out there, thank you once again. Great host and Dom, great supporting cast for MBS. But this is first of many. I will be back.
All right.
Great speech, Edwin. Very
Eddie
humble.
just giving us the quick speech. Just giving us the quick speech here.
Short and sweet.
Short and sweet. I enjoy it. Some people, they want to get a little long-winded. Eddie just, hey man, I win. I'll be back. We didn't have to pull the, get the cane out and pull them. We didn't have to get the music out like they do at the Emmys. But yes, thank you all so much for being on. Some people, I think, again, Joe has thought that this was a conspiracy, little Montreal screw job.
Straight setup, man. Straight setup, bro.
But again, I want to thank you all so much for being on today. Thank you all for watching at home. And I will go ahead and let you all have a quick final word. Let the people know where they can find you at. Joe, Big Boss, you're up first.
Oh, man, thanks for having me. It's good to be back on. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Cardoso 301, as you see written down there. I always get it wrong, but down there somewhere. And then, of course, you can find all our great content on nutsandboltsports.com. And then on all social media platforms, just look up Nuts and Bolts SP, and you can find us there as well. Great show. I guess tomorrow, if Washington starts losing bad, hey, don't text me, Will. Jersey ain't a far drive, man. Let me live. If we start losing bad, have somebody else to talk to. Don't let it be me, bro. Don't let it be me.
All righty. Thanks, Joe. And Will, speaking of, let's go ahead. Let the people know where they can find you at, all your socials and whatnot. Thanks for coming on the show. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for having me. First time on. This was pretty cool. This is fun. This is different. I didn't necessarily know that we'd have been, being ranked on points here because I might have came a little harder, but that's all good. Next time I definitely will get that win. But yeah, you guys can follow me on Instagram at welltalks.football. And yeah, that's where I'm at. On Twitter at _CUZZIN. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for being on, Will. Looking forward to having you on again. Mr. Eric, joining the show for the very first time, special guest. Thank you so much for coming on the show. You were phenomenal. I really hope we can have you on again in the future if your schedule permits. Please let the people know some of the things you've got going on, where they can follow you at.
Absolutely. I'm the Tortured Cowboys fan, the one and only. You can follow me on Twitter, EM Scharf. I've also got a site, emsharf.com, where I post my isms. And you can always find me on Twitter debating with the Greater Nuts and Bolts team.
All righty, Eric. Thank you so much for joining once again. Eddie, the winner, first win. Congrats. Where can the people find you at?
So you guys can find me at TheRealEddie03 on Twitter. Posting a lot of sports content here and there. Also write for NBS as well too. So make sure you guys check out my articles as well as everyone else's articles. They do such great work. Big shout out to the boss, Joe Cardoso. Eric's first time. My guy will, once again, I always do this to him. I always beat him in an argument. It's just I just never lost. So I have to keep on doing that to him. But special shout out to the host of No Huddle, Dom. You did a great job once again. And hopefully I will have to be back here in some time in the future. So thanks for having me.
Oh, listen, flattery will definitely get you bonus points in the next time you're on here. I appreciate it so much. Thank you again. It's a joy always having you. And there you go. The Edwin era has begun. We'll see. He has to defend his title next time he comes on, so we shall see. But we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Again, thank you to all of our guests for being on today. Thank you for everyone who was watching at home. This has been No Huddle Necessary. Make sure you all check us out next week, same time, Wednesday, 8 p.m. We'll have another great panel of guests lined up for you all. More great football topics to talk about. And you get to see more of me, which I think is a pretty good thing. I'm halfway decent looking, something like that. I'll leave that up to you guys. But thank you so much for watching. We'll see you all next time. This has been No Huddle Necessary. I'm Dominic Choroski. Peace.